Kathy Chapman.
Let's get the big steps. I followed Caroline's idea. This is called Garden Party Ghosts. It's an extract from a novel. A party, at last. I've learned how to be a teacher trainer, how to fetch water, how to light a kerosene stove. I've forgotten how to have fun. I travel into Rwanda's capital, Kigali, feeling hopeful. My housemate Anne and my friend Jasbir walk with me from our tiny guest house to our manager's spacious bungalow. We glimpse a group of Mzungus dressed in black ahead of us. The muffled clinking of beer bottles wrapped in plastic bags echoes down the hill. One man turns to face his friends. I can just make out his white face and the fluorescent green bones attached to his shirt and his trousers. I feel a hideous, creeping guilt. We're going to a party full of people who've cheerfully walked Kigali's streets dressed as the undead, oblivious to Rwanda's history. Prince Harry's fancy dress escapades in Nazi uniform look like better taste than this. Aha! Either those skeletons are lost or we're going the right way, says Anne, puffing hard. Thank God, these shoes are giving me jip. Jasbir nudges me and I grin. Anne has procured several yards of blue cheesecloth fabric from our local market and metamorphosised into Dorothy. Sundown brings a chill and she has her smart jacket on. Jasbir and I are wearing white shirts and black skirts. I carry our witches' hats, wands and homemade Hogwarts badges. We're waitresses feeling the chill of an equatorial night. Anne is power dressing. Our ruby and black shoes tap along Kigali's paved suburbs as the red sun disappears. The houses are large, with driveways behind high walls and locked gates. We pass the private school that the President's son attends. There are more lights here than back home in Chibungu, lanterns hanging outside the houses. I find I can see to walk without my torch. The pavements are largely unpotholed. This is four-wheel drive territory, where the career NGO workers bring up their children. The peace of the evening settles on the houses like an undeserved blessing. The green bones take a left then a right. We hear banging on a corrugated iron gate and follow. Rachel opens up and invites us to climb through, then waddles back towards her house. Dressed unconvincingly as a cat, her strappy black top does not adequately cover her breasts. She's attached a fluffy white tail to old grey combat trousers. Smudged whiskers give her a teary expression, and one of the cat's ears on her headband is drooping at the corner. She leads us through the large house across the glowing garden to the makeshift bar. There are several pumpkin carvings atop the wall with candles grinning inside. Complex string arrangements attach painted jam jars to the orange trees. The garden is full of witches and wizards, ghouls and ghosts, cats and cannibals. A marker pen version of Munches the Scream is chatting away to Dracula. The chief executive of our own charity, Miles Littlewood, is dressed as Edward Scissorhands. It's the first time I've seen him at an event without his wife and children in tow. One hand outstretched, he leans against an orange tree, chatting to Batman, who I recognise from the British High Commission. I think I remember that Batman is gay, and sure enough, Robin appears, drapes his left arm around Batman's shoulders, and joins the conversation. Speakers have been precariously rigged up in a tree, the wiring running back into the house. Several vampires and zombies are dancing to Everybody by the Backstreet Boys. They're following a sequence of steps, all attempts at irony useless because they've clearly practiced these moves before the party. I spot Libby in the centre of the formation. She's wearing leggings, a black leotard and heeled sandals. Her cat's ears are perked up jauntily, and she's twirling a furry tail around with her right hand. Good grief, I'm surprised she resisted dressing as a bunny rabbit, says Anne in my ear. I giggle as we pick our way across the garden after Rachel. Marianne stumbles towards us, wrapped in a white sheet, holding her glass in an outstretched hand. Woo! She wails in a scarily voice. She wails as a scarily ghost, her voice rising a little whenever she takes a step. She holds her glass out to the barman and drops a few coins into the nearby pint glass. He rolls his eyes and pours her a generous tot of Warragy, the local gin. It's probably 60% proof. Woohoo! Moans Marianne again, sipping her gin. Do you need some water? I ask her hopefully. I'm fine with this. She jiggles her glass. Need to sit though. Sit somewhere. That step's free. Jasbir points to the entrance to the house. Marianne staggers off and sits down heavily on the back porch. Jasbir sings along with me. I finish my second gin and we twirl each other around, laughing. More people join in the dancing. Our friends arrive wearing rice sacks showing a human heart and the main muscles of the body. A science lesson that had got lost. I realised we looked like the poor relations at our party, with local resources and homemade fabric. Tom appears and kisses all the women on both cheeks, which annoys me. He takes my hand and pulls me across the garden. We sit on the house steps and his hand rests on my knee. He tells me about his fundraising success for a women's cooperative. It's obvious how much he enjoys his role as the money spinner. You seem to be a fairly persuasive young man, I tell him. So I've been told, he smirks at me. Ella. Tom leans towards me and tilts my chin with his fingers. We spring apart at the sudden crash and shriek to the right of us. Glass shatters and there's a heavy thud. Marianne has fallen off the porch and landed in the mud below. She's tangled up in her grubby ghost sheet. I help her to the bathroom. We weave our way past several guests embroiled in a game of Twister and walk down a dark corridor. Marianne pushes past me unsteadily and shuts the door. I stand in the inlet corridor. I open one of the doors and see a pile of cardigans and costumes thrown on the double bed. There are a few ornaments and no pictures. It's Rachel's spare room. I hear a giggle from the other room and slowly push open the door. On the floor there are black-heeled sandals, a headband with jaunty cat ears and 2 pairs of scissor hands. I try to pull the door back, but this time it makes a scraping noise. I hear footsteps, so I slip into the spare room and hide behind the door, flattening myself against the wall. "Who's there?" This is the voice of Miles Littlewood. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathy. Our next writer is not only an author in the book, but was also one of the editors of the book. It's all perfectly above board, by the way. No favouritism at all. And as for the first half, so Ruth. Please welcome Ruth Clemens. Woo!
This is a poem, and it's the first piece of writing in the anthology. So, you know, yeah.
We have to stop now.
I did play some part in editing it, but I just want to say it wasn't my decision to put this poem right at the front, because I feel like it probably functions as anything to completely tear down everyone's expectations.
Can I just say,
yeah.
the reason we always discuss, it's great, but we're going to call it Flowers in the Woods.
That's it, yeah.
Based on your
No, it's because it's...
No, it's all right.
Don't say that. Just let me think that there's another reason that it's at the front. Warning. I want to rip this room to shreds. Tear down the walls, stick a knife in the curtain and fly down it as if it were a sail. Throw the telly out the window. It knows. I can see the fear in its glass reflection. I want to destroy this silence, hurl the stereo across it, tear the ordered memories from the shelves, break the pencils, stuff the flowers in the plug socket. This room hates me. It knows too much. It's too clever. The fireplace snarls at me, its black teeth bared. The armchair wants to spit me out. I want to punish this room like a child resenting the wisdom of elders. The clock ticks its sturdy whispers in my ear. Take what you can, it tells me. Run. Leave.
It's an interesting subject you raised there, actually. So when we're on about it, did you realise that the most difficult thing about putting an anthology together is deciding what the title is? Because this has been... How long has this been in gestation? It's about 2 years, something like that? 20 months, right. So, and deciding the title probably took 18 of those. So my advice is don't do it, really. This is why we produce one so infrequently. So it took so much out of us in 1987, we had to wait until now to do this again.
It's a brilliant title.
It's a brilliant title, thank you very much. A round of applause. It is a Joseph title. And the reason it's called No More Chairs is because we often run out of chairs at the Monday Night Group. So, if you're not a member of the Monday Night Group, do consider coming along. You might have to stand on occasions, but it is worth it because it produces work like this from people like this. And how can that be bettered? Which brings us, largely speaking, or indeed smallly speaking, to the end of the first half, except for Paul Bluer is going to finish it off for us. So, Paul, you because you write small poems, you can read more of them. So please welcome to the stage the wonderful Mr. Paul Bluer.
I'm going to start off with some haikus, which is like a variation of haikus. The reason I call them haikus is because I didn't want purists ripping me another arsehole. Squashed frozen body along Crystal Night Lane. I put that one up straight away. I'll read the next one. The frost came and went. Now parsnip wine lies inside bellies of the warm. Nationality? Tick the box. What colour skin? What colour my socks? You think I've been editing this, I would know where I was in it. I haven't got a clue. Here we go. Barroom Brawl, by the way. Barroom Brawl was originally something we put forward so that people could write fresh material. It was a theme. But obviously we realised that everyone had stuff burning holes in their pockets that had been perfecting for years. So we obviously extended that. This is part of the Barroom Brawl, which is interpreted loosely, but this poem existed before that was suggested, and I think the person who suggested it is in the room tonight. Where's Adam?